D. Mace Finnegan and Donick 1025, The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. I hope everybody is having a wonderful start to their Thursday. I had to think about what day it was there for a second, but it's Thursday, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful time. I do want to start today's program by giving a shout out.
Okay.
To WTOC, the CBS television affiliate in Savannah, Georgia. The station did a report on Falcons practice and misspelled Michael Penix's last name in the worst way possible. And yes, it is absolutely what you think it is.
Yep.
I can't say it, but let's just say instead of an X, there's a different letter that touches the X on the keyboard. So shout out to WTOC. It is a body part.
Y'all have seen the video. You've seen the photo, so you guys know.
You guys know.
Yeah. Y'all grown ups.
But shout out WTOC.
Well, not really grown ups, and we're laughing about it. So it's kind of funny.
We're still kids inside. Wow. You mentioned, Willie, that stuff like that happens more times than not. Maybe not to that degree.
Yeah, usually it doesn't end up being a different word that really is eye-opening like that.
Just like they spell Bert Nihil name wrong.
Right.
And
it's unfortunate because I do think sometimes if television stations or whoever is doing production like that skimps on a paid position, sometimes it's not like a 20-year veteran that makes that mistake. Typically, it's usually a young person that hasn't done it very often, and you don't double check. And it could happen to the best. It could happen to somebody that's done it for a long time. But when it goes wrong, it really goes wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Could have been autocorrect.
Oh, man. Well, that means...
I hope it wasn't autocorrect.
Because if that was autocorrect, that means you have been using that word a lot.
Especially at the station.
Yeah.
Because autocorrect, usually it's, it puts the word that you use the most that closely resembles, what you're trying to spell out. So shame on, that person.
Well, I do wonder if it was an autocorrect. I do wonder.
You better hope that was an intern. This is a good day to blame interns.
Yeah.
It's always
blame intern day.
It's always good to blame interns.
Yeah.
Every day is blame interns day. I've been an intern. I got blamed for things. That's like, part of the process. That's how you get your college credit, by being blamed for things. Speaking of first-round quarterbacks, Cam Ward. So all of you know this. You don't have to listen to me tell you. The Titans have not been a model of stability in recent years, and that's putting it lightly. They've gone through multiple head coaches, multiple general managers, and multiple quarterbacks. And the Titans hope that Cam Ward is the long-term answer at quarterback. But there are a lot of questions about Brian Callahan and whether he is, frankly, a good NFL coach. He's on all of the hot seat lists that you're going to read. I'm sure, Willie, the odds are out there. We get all of those emails. Next coach fired in the NFL. What are the odds?
It's coming.
I'm sure Brian Callahan is at or near the top of all of those lists. But Cam Ward yesterday was asked about his relationship with Brian Callahan early in their careers together and the importance of having stability at coach in order for Ward to succeed. Here is what Cam Ward said about Brian Callahan yesterday.
I just think he's going to put me in the best position to succeed. And that's what my quarterback coach, Coach Bo, and the OC, Coach Nick. I'm trying to play as long as I can for Tennessee with those three guys at the helm. Those guys, they continuously give me feedback, even when I don't want feedback, and they continuously get me better. When I ask questions, they answer every question to the little detail as much as I need it. So I'm blessed to have those three, in the same room with me. They push me to be great. I want to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And I just think the more that we continuously build our relationship, us three, Coach Callahan, continuously getting to know what I like on the field, when I like it on the field, then me also being smart with the ball and gaining that trust every day from him to have those play calls, whether he wants to go deep or do quick game. I just think it's going to end up helping all three of us out in the long run.
So that was Cam Ward yesterday talking about Brian Callahan and the other offensive coaches on the staff. So here's my question for you, Willie and Derek, as well as all of our listeners at 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You hear the rookie quarterback, the number 1 overall pick in the draft, stand up for his coach pretty early on. How much do you think that endorsement, how much weight, I should say, how much weight do you think that endorsement holds with the people who hold Brian Callahan's job status in their hands? Amy Adams Strunk, Chad Brinker, and Mike Borgonzi.
Honestly, nothing at this point, not until we start winning games. It means nothing until you start winning football games and they see you develop as a quarterback. Patrick Mahomes in his first year, he couldn't, whether he, went out there and spoke from the top of the mountains for anybody on that coaching staff offensively, especially, I think Matt Nagy was his OC or quarterbacks coach at one point. And then obviously he had others after that. But it's not until you establish yourself on the field that holds weight, not only in a locker room, but throughout the franchise. Because Kenny Pickett, I don't care how much he vouched for coaches, they're going to be looking at him like he's crazy. Like, dude, how can you vouch for a coach and you ain't even out there getting the job done? We're firing all of y'all. So until you start, if they see progress in you, if they see development in you, and then you start putting wins on top of wins, that's when your voice rings loud throughout the organization. Until then, I don't care if you're the number 1 pick. If those guys in that locker room and in that coaching staff isn't getting the job done and y'all are not winning games, Cam Ward can get on any station in television station in the city and say he loves Brian Callahan and everybody else. That ain't gonna mean a hell of beans because they're gonna get him out of here. It's just plain and simple. Until you start to produce on the field, that's when your word can sway individuals throughout the organization. But until then, you're like everybody else, every other rookie. You got to prove it.
I think it's going to help Brian Callahan if this continues to be the theme, if Cam Ward continues to publicly back his coaching staff. But the real question is, are the people that make the decisions level-headed? And will they cave if things don't go well? Most people picking the Titans this year are going to have them at somewhere between 3 and 6 wins. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say 90% of the predictions will be in that range, 3 to 6. And that's a pretty wide range, right? There's a difference between 3 and 6. But I'm giving you what I think. The question is, when the heat comes and they lose some games and everybody in the Titans fan base, the loud minority, whatever you want to label them as, is saying, this guy can't get it done. That's 2 years and his record is 6-30 or whatever his record would be, right? If you have two 3-win seasons or a 3-win season of 5 games, that's what you're going to hear pounded in everybody's head. But if the quarterback who everything is riding on, and I can't emphasize that enough with what they chose to do, which was use the first pick and not trade and get more assets, I think his opinion should matter if he's doing the right things. If it looks like he is carving his way out to be a successful guy, then I think that should carry the weight. And what we're going to talk about is the pathway that it's gone in a lot of other similar situations, because it has been completely chaotic. And I just can't believe that it's always the coach's fault, because when you have the first pick, that next year usually doesn't go very well. So you're going to have adversity and somebody's going to get blamed. As Adam said, the blame game happens all the time, and it's usually on the coach. But that's a lot of times, to me, not the best thing for the quarterback.
No, it's not the best thing when you're playing musical chairs with the few people that are entrusted to develop this quarterback. I get that. but I don't think you can have development and not have the wins. I don't think that can happen. If your quarterback is developing the way you want him to develop, and he's on task, you know, you should be able to pick up wins based upon that. So to me, if he's developing, the Titans winning. I'm not saying the Titans are going to win 9 or 10 games, but his development will dictate if they win 2 or 3 games again, and then obviously injury is a factor. But if this team stays healthy, his development can ensure that this team will not lose, will not win only 2 or 3 games this upcoming season.
Let's go to our phone line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com and welcome in Jared in Spring Hill. Jared, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, gentlemen, first time in this program. I appreciate the participation. Let me just chime in. I'm with Derek. I don't necessarily think that this is going to mean that much right now. But one thing I'm maybe picking up on a trend of Cam Ward's is this is just my perspective. Does he just say things that to appease people of what they want to hear? Because this is something, yes, this is the right thing you want your quarterback to say. But also, too, I always go back to that Fortnite night where he said Tony Pollard was the best running back and Calvin Ridley was the best receiver. Is he just kind of placating to us and doing the right thing? Because, again, I kind of see that as chameleon, and I don't necessarily – I kind of want to know what people are, not necessarily just blending into the room to fit in, because he could just be blending in with the yes men they have in there right now. So I don't really think it takes up too much water yet. And Derek, I got another thing. You've seen a team, and Willie, sorry, you've seen the team also. Like, given what this team is, and PK's article came out about the lack of identity, what can be this team's identity moving forward this season? Guys, it's a pleasure. Tighten up.
Well, thank you for the call.
Jared. Derek, why don't you answer Jared's first question about Cam Ward and whether he is just saying things to placate his teammates, his coaches, etc.?
I don't think he's saying things just to placate them. I think in his mind, he believes it. He has to. If he has any doubt, how are they then going to develop as a team? If the guy you have entrusted your offense to has doubt, how do you then go out there and run the offense that you need to run? In order to develop as a quarterback and to run this offense the way, you have to have confidence in who you're throwing it to. So I don't think there's anything wrong with Cam Ward believing what he believes. So, he'll find out whether these guys can be one of the best groups in the league or not. He'll find that out once the season gets started. But I want my quarterback to have this type of confidence. I want him, I want to walk in the room as a wide receiver and my quarterback believe in what I can do. You want that as a quarterback. As a wide receiver. If you don't, you can't go out there and do your job the way you need to do it. So I don't think he's trying to placate to anyone. You may think it's something other, and I don't blame you, because guys have said some things that they know good and well wasn't true. But I think Cam Ward truly believes this, and he has to.
I'm intrigued about this pattern, because it is a pattern. Like he's been consistent in how he's
like Diego.
He's really trying to pump up the guys around him, even veteran players, right? And I don't think it's really in the name of I want them to like me.
Mm-hmm.
I think he wants to connect with them. He's like, look, I got confidence in you. I'm gonna try to bring out the best in you. I hope it can work. I think it can backfire. You can end up looking bad if things don't go well. But I admire it to a degree. And I think that even can segue us into the identity question, because I think the identity is going to be Cam Ward if he's worth anything, right? I think you want the identity to reflect Cam Ward's strengths. And I agree that they don't have an identity right now. I think what they want to be is a defense that's aggressive, that can cause turnovers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They blitz. They try to make things happen. That's what they want to be defensively. And offensively, I think they want to rally around a rookie quarterback with good offensive line play. I think that's That's really what they're trying to do. I don't know if that really is a clear identity, but it's a foundation, and I don't think they got anything built foundation-wise last year.
Josh from Nevada on our text line says, Jared from Spring Hill said it best. Come on, D. You really think he thought Burks was a top receiver in the league without any proof? He does believe, I'm sure, but he also pleases the media a lot. I would disagree with that last sentence. I don't think Cam Ward is doing anything to ingratiate himself with the reporters who cover him every day. I don't get that vibe. We can talk about the Fortnite stream. Who are your favorite receivers in the NFL? Or who are your top receivers in the NFL? Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Treylon Burks. That was before the draft, if I recall correctly. So he knew what audience he was playing to. I think that's what Jared's point was and what Josh's point is. I would disagree with Josh's final sentence about Cam Ward pleasing the media. I don't get that vibe from him.
It's just like, I want people to understand. Football, it's no different from running a company, from having a group of individuals that you are tasked to lead. It's all the same. Whoever the leader or leaders, in order to do your task, you got to believe in the people that are tasked to do it. If I'm a CEO, if I don't believe they can do it, I'm gonna get somebody else. I'm walking in the building with fresh eyes as a CEO, a new CEO. I'm walking in the building with fresh eyes. I'm looking at things and I'm bringing in my crew and I'm saying, hey, listen, every person to a man and woman, we are the best in this room. And that's how we got to approach our job. I believe in you until you show me otherwise. People, that's football. So Cam, just visualize it with me, people. When Cam walks in that locker room, he's the new CEO of this team. He's watched film. He's seen things. But it's things I want to win. That's all. So I am going to do whatever I believe in my guys until they show me otherwise. I believe in them. So let's go. He can't walk in and say, man, he can't be like Deion Sanders did when he first got to Colorado. You get out of here. I don't like you. I never played with you. You get out of here. Why are you still in the league, man? It's been 10 years. Why are you still? No, he can't walk in the room, and he would never do that. He walked, I guarantee you, he walked in Incarnate Word, Washington State, and the University of Miami the same way he's walking in here to Tennessee. I believe in each one of y'all until otherwise proven.
615-737-1025. Your reaction to what Cam Ward had to say about Brian Callahan. How much weight does Cam Ward's endorsement of Callahan hold? How much should it hold? Let us know. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, more from Cam Ward on the importance of coaching stability. And Willie and I did some research on just how much turnover there is at the coaching positions, namely head coach and offensive coordinator for young quarterbacks. We will get to that next. 615-737-1025. Later today on ESPN 94.9 The Fan, the Nashville Sounds take on the Durham Bulls. First pitch is at 5:35. Coverage is also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan is presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure.
I think it'll unlock everything. You see it with the best quarterbacks out there. Tom Brady, he has stability. Lamar, he has stability. Pat, he has stability. And so I just think a lot of guys who have stability in the NFL can succeed. I wouldn't say at a faster rate, but can succeed long term. And I just think that's what we need in Tennessee. We haven't had that in a long time, but I think the guys we have right here, offensively and defensively, so I think we got the stability to do it.
That was Cam Ward talking about the importance of coaching stability in the NFL. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you, talking about that stability and how important it is for a young quarterback. And before we dig into some research that Willie and I did, I want to play this clip from Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was on Kevin Clark's, I believe it's called the This Is Football podcast. This is back in January. So keep that in mind as you're listening to some of the examples that Peyton Manning is using. But here was Peyton Manning on Kevin Clark's podcast answering this question.
Bothers me that Bryce Young is already on his third play caller, and he's only played, 2 seasons, right? Caleb Williams is going to be on his third play caller sometime next September. And that to me, that's a miss, right? If we're going to draft this guy, okay, who's the head coach going to be? The coordinator. This is the system we're going to run. If the coordinator leaves and takes a head coaching job, I want the guy that's replacing him shadowing him 24/7. He's riding to work with him. He's eating breakfast with him. Maybe sleeps in the same room. It's kind of awkward with the coordinator's wife, whether she wants somebody laying on the floor. But I want them there the whole time, so that quarterback doesn't have to learn a new system every single year. I think Baker Mayfield had to learn 5 systems in 4 years. Alex Smith, 6 systems in 6 years. Tom Brady had the same system his whole career. I had the same system my first 14 years in Indy. There's a reason that going back to those reps. And so, yes, you're exactly right. It's more than just, it's an organizational plan. What is the best way to develop this guy? Don't make him learn Latin, German, and French all in the first 2 years. That's not fair.
That last line made me chuckle. The thing about the wife and the coordinator, I don't know what that was about with Peyton Manning, but don't make him learn Latin and German and French or whichever languages he used. That line stuck out to me at the end.
I think even for those of us who know a little bit about languages, sometimes your mom or your, somebody in your family is like, you need to take Latin because then you can take any other language and it's much easier to learn it. I never bought into that. I'm not taking Latin. Nobody speaks Latin. But I see what he's saying. And D-Mace, you can speak to how tough it is to learn a different set of terminology on a different offense. But nobody has learned at all from Peyton Manning, because I just looked at 9 quarterbacks, and we mentioned this yesterday. We started this discussion yesterday. There have been 9 quarterbacks, not including Cam Ward, so he's the 10th, that teams have used one of the first 4 picks in the draft on. And 7 of the 9 have already had at least one change in the play caller, the offensive coordinator, and or the head coach, and some way more. And Peyton Manning mentioned a couple of them, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, etc. So nobody is learning anything. It's getting worse. They're getting more impatient. And the results speak for themselves. You have very little success so far among the 9 quarterbacks, and these are the top 4 picks in the draft. There's so much invested, so much riding on getting a return on your investment there. They're not getting it, and that's got to be one of the reasons why.
I want you to go through that list, but I sort of did the same exercise, and there's one that just, when I wrote it down, it just shocked me. Caleb Williams, and there's a lot of hand-wringing going on about Caleb Williams. You hear it all over ESPN shows. If they're not talking about the Cowboys and Micah Parsons, they're talking about the Bears and Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is about to start his 2nd season in the NFL. He is on his 2nd full-time head coach. So I'm not including interim there. He's on his 2nd full-time head coach and his 4th offensive coordinator. 3 different coaches held the OC role last season. for the Chicago Bears, and they have a new one this year. Caleb Williams already 2 full-time head coaches, 4 offensive coordinators, and he's about to start his second season in the NFL. And you wonder why there's so much hand-wringing about Caleb Williams. I mean,
and he's not alone.
No. Who are some of the other ones that stood out to you on that list?
Well, I just looked at the 9 that have been used with one of the first 4 picks since 2021. So I'm not even going back to some of the crazy ones from the past, going back 10 or 20 years. I'm just looking at recent football. And, here's one. Bryce Young, 3rd head coach, 2nd play caller. And this is his, 3rd year? Trevor Lawrence, 4 head coaches, if you include the interim, 3 different play callers. So this will be his 3rd coming up with the new regime this year. Then you have the total busts like Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. And you might argue that those guys weren't going to get it done regardless. They just weren't good enough. And that does happen sometimes. But I don't think it's a coincidence that both definitely had some change in the offensive play calling while they were there. CJ Stroud, even one of the success stories, they had to they fired the offensive coordinator after the 2nd year. So he's on his. So Bobby Slowick went from being a really trendy head coaching candidate who some people were touting, hey, maybe this is the guy that the Titans should hire as the head coach. He got fired after the 2nd year last year for the Texans. So they're changed offensive coordinators, and their quarterback was playing pretty well. I don't know what factor that's going to be going forward.
Let's keep it close to home for a moment. Marcus Mariota had 3 head coaches in his first 4 seasons. Ken Wisenhunt, Mike Mularkey, Mike Vrabel. He had, if I recall correctly, 3 offensive coordinators in that time. Jason Michael, Terry Robisky, and Matt LaFleur. So there's an example from right here in Nashville. Marcus Mariota, first 4 seasons in the NFL. 3 head coaches, 3 offensive coordinators.
It's built in because when you start, and the other trend I saw, of these 9 quarterbacks, 7 of them had at least one change, have had at least one change in the head coach or the offensive coordinator, and often more than one change. But 7 of the 9 have had one change. 7 of the 9 also were thrown into the starter spot day 1, week 1. And so I don't, and when you're picked that high, that means you're playing for a team that was really bad the year before. And because they use a draft pick on you, the first round pick, it means you probably don't have a ton of talent around you that first year. It makes it a really tough environment to succeed in.
See, here's sometimes the problem with, you having these young quarterbacks. And sometimes early on, the development is crucial. Like that first 6 months, once camp started, I'm saying camp that they're in now, that first 3 to 6 months is crucial in your development of a quarterback and what type of offense you want to be now, what type of offense you want to be in 3 months, and what type of offense you want to ultimately get to as the season is winding down. Some people want to jump from 1 to 3. Well, what do you mean? Well, they got these quarterbacks that are coming out and they were these elite passers in college, and you want them to be that elite passer here. So you're skipping steps. Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, guys like that, that were elite passers, and even Joe Burrow to an extent. But I think what helped him, what might end up turned out to be a blessing, was him getting hurt and him just having to sit and watch and then coming in knowing what he knew the prior year. But when you try to hurry up the process, when you try to take a quarterback from step 1 to step 3, but skipping 2, a lot of times that's where you have the problem. You got to know where your team is at, what the personnel look like, and then sort of take your quarterback from there. You can't say, well, I got this quarterback and I don't care how my roster look, he's going to get us there. No, he's not going to get you there. You have to bring him along as your roster say bring him along. Because if you don't have the playmakers to go out there and do something, it happened to Will Levis last year. They couldn't hold up. That was one of the problems, but he had his own set of issues, but they couldn't hold up. So what happened? The offense was minimized, and they couldn't consistently produce anything because they were trying to do something without the talent to do it. So to me, all these quarterbacks, that's why it's so imperative. To me, you got to get an offensive line, and you got to get you a run game. You have to, because if that's going, you can't. No one can make you fast forward the process. Nobody. If the running game is going and the offensive line is blocking, you're going to run and bring that quarterback along at the pace you need him to come along to develop.
Here was another data point that I found, and I think it's more coincidental than anything, but I still found it to be interesting. 5 of the past 7 quarterbacks drafted number 1 overall have had their coaches fired in season during their rookie years. Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Baker Mayfield, and Jared Goff. The two who didn't, Joe Burrow and Kyler Murray. Now, I looked at how long those coaches were with their teams before being fired. Matt Eberflus was fired in the middle of his 3rd season. Frank Reich and Urban Meyer were fired during their 1st season. Those were, especially Meyer, that was a terrible hire. Hugh Jackson was fired in Cleveland in his 3rd season, and Jeff Fisher was fired in his 5th season with the Rams organization. So I don't know if that necessarily means anything, but I did find it interesting that 5 of the past 7 quarterbacks drafted number 1 overall had their coaches fired in season during their rookie years.
Because it's a crapshoot, it's almost hard to bring the once you bring the coach in after a losing season. The Titans, they bring in a coach, they're losing, they end up losing again last year. They end up getting the first pick in the draft. It's hard then to say we're going to give you 2 more years to develop a quarterback, even though you should in a sense. But it's hard after you just play bad enough to get the number 1 pick. And if you come back this season and we don't see the record needs to be, at a point, we don't possibly need to go to the playoffs, but we need to win more games than we did last year. And if you're not on pace on that, how then can I keep you? Even though it may be, quote unquote, best to keep them another year under that system. But how many people are going to stick around for that?
Well, most people have not.
Exactly.
Most people have gone the other way.
Absolutely.
Like, let's change it. It's not working. Let's change it. And I do think history has shown that is probably not a sound strategy based on the outcomes of this. These first picks in the draft, I've even stretched it to the top 4 picks. They are more often than not, it's overwhelmingly so, not saviors, right? They're not the game-changing, culture-changing star that you hope that pick will be. It's anything but that in most cases.
615-737-1025. Your reaction on coaching stability around the NFL, especially as it relates to the Tennessee Titans. We will take your reaction at 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Coming up next, I want to play devil's advocate on this. I do have a question for the other side of the argument as it relates to Brian Callahan, and we'll do that next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. This week's Nashville's best deal is Fat Bottom Brewing Company. Join Fat Bottom this Saturday for their Lucky 13 anniversary party at 844th Avenue North in Nashville. A full day of casino-themed fun, tattoos, face painting, and of course, ice-cold beer. Get a $100 gift card half off while supplies last at theGameNashville.com/deals. Do not miss their Lucky 13 anniversary party this Saturday at Fat Bottom Brewing Company. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Bingen here with you, talking about the importance of coaching stability for a young quarterback. Cam Ward went to bat for Brian Callahan the other day. I'm about to play devil's advocate for a moment because I think this is a question that a lot of our listeners have. What if Brian Callahan simply is not a good football coach? Should the Titans keep him around simply for the sake of stability? Or if they determine, hey, we gave Brian Callahan a shot, we're not sure it's working out. Yeah, we would prefer not to have to switch coaches or systems with our young quarterback, but we'd rather take our chances with that than sticking with Brian Callahan.
Okay, would you have said that about Zach Taylor? Because Zach Taylor was in his second year with the Bengals. The first year, they did not have Joe Burrow. And they got the first pick in the draft, which was Joe Burrow. And then they proceeded to go 1-10 to start the next year. So it would have been pretty easy for the Bengals to say, Zach Taylor, man, that didn't work. Let's go in another direction, which a lot of teams, as we just documented, have done. But how do you know Brian Callahan is not a good coach until you give him a chance with personnel that has a chance to succeed? That's my question back to you. It's too often just, hey, what's the one-loss record? Well, forget it. Move on.
No, you're right to an extent. But you're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals here. The one franchise that kept a coach 10 years. And people were like, what are you doing? Like, right. you want to stay in mediocre land forever?
Marvin Lewis was there for a long time.
Exactly. So,
and had only
they
a
don't
few
like
good teams.
exactly. Yeah. They don't like paying folks, and they don't like firing.
They're
folks.
Different. The Bengals are different.
They're different. But I did explain to you this off air. I said it's as a first year coach, the best thing you can do for yourself is not end up with the first overall pick the next following year. That's the best thing you can do for yourself. Don't get into a situation where you have the top 3 or 4 picks.
I wonder how often that happens. I imagine it happens more than I think. But how often does a team pick number 1 overall and then pick, let's say, again in the top 3 the following year? That might be another research project.
Well, they finished.
Get out your bag.
And who did they
Big
get?
ass glasses.
Who did the Bengals get because they were bad?
Jamar Chase.
Exactly.
The next thing. But what I'm saying is this.
That's true.
What I'm saying is this. Because now, even though it didn't happen, the year that he had a bad record, and they end up drafting Joe Burrow, he's on the hot seat. Make no mistake about it.
Zach Taylor?
Zach Taylor. He's on the hot seat. Now, whether Cincinnati fires him or not, that's a whole different story. They may keep him for another 10 years. But you're put at a disadvantage as a head coach if you don't come in with a already established quarterback, or that pick has already been made and you're coming in the year after. Because this is what happens. You come in like Brian Callahan did. You have a losing season. You got the first pick in the draft. You draft Cam Ward. We're all predicting that this team will win 3, maybe 4 games, pushing it for 5. So if they come back with another season with, below average wins, what do you think the organization is going to do that's not named the Cincinnati Bengals? They're going to be looking to make a change.
But what I hope they do is
I'm not
look
saying they
at
will.
the history. Look at the history that we just went through and ask yourself, do I need to chill a little bit and go against what is a common thing that pulls you in? Because the fans are saying, yeah, make a change. They stink. Make a change. These aren't the right guys. This isn't the right coach. We need a real coach.
He's too soft.
By the way, thanks to a couple of texters for pointing this out, it's actually happened teams having back-to-back number 1 overall picks. It's actually happened twice in recent history. The Jacksonville Jaguars had the number 1 overall pick in 2021 and 2022. The Cleveland Browns had the number 1 overall pick in 2017 and 2018. Then just by a quick search, it looks like the last time it happened before that was also the Cleveland Browns, but that was when the Cleveland Browns returned to the NFL in 1999 and 2000. So it does happen.
So, and it happens, but if you're a head coach, that's not good. It's really not,
It's hard to
because
survive.
it's hard to survive when you were the guy chosen to lead this team before you drafted the quarterback, and you end up having to lose the season. And then because you had to lose the season, you draft the quarterback, and then you have another losing season. The NFL owners, they're not willing, because it's an arms race. And now they're not willing to wait 3, 4, 5 years. Dan Campbell, he survived. He was on the chopping blocks, but he survived. He was one of the rare people that survived. Why? Because I think his team played better in the second half of the season.
And he was going to eat their kneecap.
Yeah, he was going to bite their kneecap.
He also, I think, was pretty good at building the foundation, even when they weren't winning. And then, you know what else happened? They drafted their butts off.
Yes.
And they got good in a hurry. This is what is going to be the key for Brian Callahan. They need some hits of these young draft picks. I can't say it enough. And we already know that the picks from the last 5 years are going to give them very little. Very little. So it is a very precarious situation to be in. And most of the coaches in the history of the league, when they get into that, they don't get out of it. And that's why so often there is not stability for a young quarterback.
Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com, for your reaction. Gino has a comment about what Cam Ward said about Brian Callahan. Quote, of course Cam thinks they are the best wide receivers and running backs, etc. He played at no-name school, Washington State and Miami. That's college. NFL players are all the best, and all of them, for the most part, are better than college players. He hasn't played any teams number ones in an actual game yet. It's all hyperbole. Take it for what it is. Callahan's delusional optimism about this roster is rubbing off on the quarterback. That part is worrisome for this season.
Callahan hadn't said anything. Callahan is everything that he says or has said this season. He hasn't, we got the best roster, this and that. He wants to see development. He know where his team needs to get better, and he said it. So I don't think Callahan has been delusional, at least not this year. I don't think he has. So I don't think the quarterback is picking up on any delusional tendencies that may or may not be going on. This guy, I don't know why it's so hard for people to understand. Sometimes, if Peyton Manning walked in here, you would, and he said this group was the best, you would be like, yes, Peyton. I understand why you would do that, because he has the skins on the wall, but Peyton couldn't throw from here to the bathroom right now, but you would believe him. This kid, he's different from what we've had here in a good while. Embrace that, people. It may not work out the way we all wanted to, and then again, it may exceed any expectations you may have for him right now. But I don't know what's wrong with the kid coming in and believing in what he has in front of him. Do you want him to come out here and say they all trash? And then y'all be like, get rid of the guy. We don't need that type of temperament or that type of, virus in our culture. Look at him. So he's almost damned if he do and damned if he don't.
I've said many times that I think PR has a lot to do with the text like that. Delusional optimism. The front office, I don't think did him a very good service last year with all of the, quote, spending in free agency. They spent $100 million plus in free agency. They're going to be competitive. They had a choice, and they, from the top, I think, tried to push that optimism when the reality was they were rebuilding. That didn't help Brian Callahan. I also do think that Brian Callahan probably needs to be a little more even-keeled when he answers questions, I do think he's optimistic. I think he is a glass half
But
full,
I don't think he's
glass
went
half
out of his
full guy.
way to like pump
No,
this team up.
But I think he tends, like, I'll give you one.
Mhm.
Jalen Harrell. Last year there was a day at that I happened to be at a training camp where he said, I think we may have a 3-down outside linebacker kind of player that we drafted in the 7th round. And Jalen Harrell has not
He said
become
the
that.
key word, may.
Right.
I think
but
we
he
may.
didn't have to say that. Like Mike Vrabel was much more, yeah, he's doing
But
okay.
that was last
Let's
year,
see.
Willie.
We'll see. I think sometimes he likes answering the question, which the media probably should appreciate. He gives you detail, but I think the optimism does come out. But that's him. He's just being himself. I don't think it's delusional. I think it's his belief that the glass is half full. But sometimes I think he puts himself in trouble that way.
Quickly, Brian on our text line says, I get it that we all want stability, but shouldn't a room full of football people be able to tell if a coach is in over his head after the first or second year, even with a bad roster? Business executives do it all the time, realizing somebody may not be what they were built up to be. The same can be said for a football coach.
But why is the assumption that the coach is in over its head?
Because the team went 3-14 last season.
But he didn't make those picks. Look at the drafts, 2020 through 2024. They yielded next to nothing. Skoronski, Latham, Sweat. That's the nucleus of picks they got in 5 drafts. 5. Brian Callahan had nothing to do with any of that. So why is the assumption that he's in over its head? What about the guys who made those picks? You can't get out of that. You can't spend free agent money and say, well, that's going to solve the problem. That's the source of the problem.
Well, they got rid of those guys that made the pick. They're all gone.
Right.
Whether, they believe, anybody believes, Brian Callahan is way over his head or not. He has to prove it this year. And I think this year he has tapered, down some of the optimism. Because last year it was like, rainbows and roses, and everything was great. And it got, it bit him in the behind. So this year, I think he's a little bit more measured about his roster. And I think he understands that I know where we are as a team. And the only way we're going to get better is if we develop in a way that we need to, and that we protect our young quarterback.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction on Brian Callahan, Cam Ward, coaching stability, and the Tennessee Titans. But coming up next, speaking of Cam Ward and Brian Callahan, there is something that Brian Callahan has not explicitly done yet. We all know it's coming, but he has not explicitly done it yet. Now we have sort of an explanation as to why, and we'll get to that next. 615-737-1025. This September, Tim McGraw will be performing at Trinetics' Rock the Cradle in Nashville, a meaningful event supporting newborns and moms at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown. Get your tickets now at rockthecradlenashville.org.
You've worked hard to make your home energy efficient, but did you think about your garage door? It's the largest opening in your house. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. This summer, save money on your energy bills and replace your old door with a beautiful, energy-efficient garage door. We offer affordable prices on a huge selection of styles, colors, and custom features. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 seasonsgarages.com.
D-Mace, Finnegan, and Donick 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Be sure to be listening at 5 o'clock. We're going to do a fun exercise with all of you. I have not come up with a snappy title, so at the moment, it's just called State Your Case. This is what we are going to do. So you have an hour to think about it. I want all of you on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Again, this is at 5 o'clock. I want you all to tell us something about the Titans that you are absolutely certain of entering this season. And we will discuss it amongst ourselves. And we'll determine if you have a point or if you're full of crap. So that's what we'll do at 5 o'clock. So you have an hour to prepare for State Your Case. Hopefully I'll come up with a better title in the next hour, but that's coming up. That's coming up at 5 o'clock. Also, be sure to be listening. We do have a giveaway this hour for a pair of tickets to the Nashville Dance Festival at the Nashville Palace next month. So be listening for that.
Nashville Palace.
I'm unfamiliar with the Nashville Palace.
Me too. I'm not.
Willie, you've been around here long enough.
Where it is?
Are you familiar with the Nashville Palace?
Nope.
I don't think so.
He's trying to think hard.
So. Well, we'll all find out together.
Get familiar with it.
We'll all find out together. So be listening for that. Okay. So in the first hour, we talked, of course, about.
Is it by Opryland? Is this the Palace by Opryland? I hesitate to say because there's a palace out there. I think like a country music kind of thing. Is that right?
I couldn't tell you, Willie.
There could be another palace. Could be more than one palace.
They're good. So.
Is D-Mace going to be part of the Nashville Dancers at the Palace?
Well, the Nashville Dance Fest is taking over 90,000 square feet behind the legendary Nashville Palace. It's legendary, yet we don't know about it. For the ultimate country dance and music experience.
I think I've been there.
Okay,
this is out by Opry Mills, the Opryland Hotel. I think.
But just because we don't know about it doesn't mean it's not popular and everything else.
You don't want to see me dance.
Oh, I like to dance.
Yes, it appears that it's over by Opryland.
Okay.
Well, Willie knows where
I have been there then.
He's been threw down a cardboard and break dance.
I have not danced at the Palace.
But you've been there.
But I've been there.
Okay, cool.
Willie's going to bust out the John Travolta look from Saturday Night Fever. Can't you see that?
I would need the wig.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so remember, state your case, Titans version, 5 o'clock. So if you've got to take, you have an hour to refine it before sharing it with us. Okay, so we spent the first hour talking about Cam Ward and Brian Callahan. There is something that Brian Callahan hasn't done that we all know is coming. We all know that Cam Ward is going to be the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans in just a matter of weeks, week 1 against the Denver Broncos. We all know that. But Brian Callahan has not come out and explicitly stated Cam Ward will be our starting quarterback in week 1 against the Denver Broncos. So it led me to wonder why. We all know it's going to happen. Why not just come out and say it? And I've heard one thing and read another, both of which came out today, or I think one may have come out yesterday, that attempted to answer this question. So here's the first one. This is Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated. When the Titans went to Atlanta for joint practices, Breer made a pit stop in Atlanta to catch up with the Titans and Falcons. And then he did a podcast where he talked about his takeaways from the Tennessee Titans at that joint practice. Here is what Albert Breer had to say about Cam Ward.
Cam Ward is going to be the starting quarterback in week 1. There's no question about that. So why haven't they named him the starting quarterback for week 1? Well, the reason why, it's part of a bigger strategy for them to be difficult on Cam Ward. They want to make things hard for him now so they're easier during the regular season, and there are always going to be bumps when you're a rookie. So the feeling is you build in some resilience then. You coach him hard. You throw a lot at him, so when he's getting game plans during the week, it's got a lot less material in it. He's more easily able to handle it. And the signs so far on Cam have been really, really good. They do want him to earn the job, and he's in the process of doing that. They feel like that'll give him more credibility with his teammates. It's not the only way he's building credibility with his teammates. He's held these 5:30 a.m. meetings with his fellow rookie skill players, And a lot of times you see that, and coaches will tell you early on, and then it dissipates over time. Well, this hasn't, and they really do feel confident that his ability to teach this stuff back to his fellow rookies shows a different level of learning and taking ownership of the offense. So far, so good with Cam Ward and getting him ready to start week 1 against Denver.
So that was Albert Breer. By the way, I love that music back there. Maybe they'll play that at the Nashville Dance Fest at the legendary Nashville Palace. So that's possible. So that was Albert Breer discussing why the Titans have not come out and said already what we all know, that Cam Ward is the starting quarterback. He will start week 1 against the Denver Broncos. And then, as fate would have it, Dan Graziano of ESPN.com wrote a story published today with the headline, How NFL Teams Approach and Develop Rookie Quarterbacks at Training Camp. And one of the sections is titled, Make the Kid Earn It, which includes an interesting quote from Brian Callahan. But here's what Dan Graziano...
Very quotable coach.
He is a very quotable coach.
He's accessible.
Here's what Dan Graziano wrote leading into Callahan's quote. Quote, we see this everywhere. Sean Payton wouldn't call Bo Nix the starter in Denver right away last season, even though everyone knew he would be QB1, just like Cam Ward. Jackson Dart is sitting behind Russell Wilson in New York right now and probably will continue to do so once the season starts. The Falcons and Patriots managed Michael Penix Jr. and Drake May, respectively, through training camp last summer, knowing they would both open the season as backups. Rookie quarterbacks situations run the gamut depending on where the team is in its building process. Now, here's the quote from Brian Callahan. Quote, veteran players really don't care for guys being anointed. When Cam came in, we still had Will Levis before he had his surgery, and it was a pretty even split. It wasn't a false competition. Will was actually doing very well, I thought. And what that allowed Cam to do was earn guys' respect, earn the right to be the quarterback. The veterans want to find out if he's made of the right stuff. So there's Brian Callahan. And then before, Albert Breer. I'm sure Callahan told Breer the same thing when Breer shared it on his podcast. But I was curious about why haven't they just named Cam Ward QB1? We all know it's coming. Just say it. We heard from Breer. We heard from Callahan. I thought that quote from Callahan was interesting, Willie.
I think that's how it should be, really. I think he's not making that up, even though I think the reality is if it were anywhere close, and let's be honest, he's not competing against Roger Staubach, Terry Bradshaw, and, name who else. Even, Steve Young. The competition level was low. The bar was low for him to win that job. But yet, he's got to go through the process. I think I agree more than anything else with one part of that quote. The veterans want to see a guy go grab the job, right? Not just be handed something. Because when you're handed something, you don't necessarily have to work for it. And what I think is good is naturally, I think we're seeing Cam Ward has the work ethic. And he has done a good job of trying to not look like he is better than everybody else as he walks in. Hey, I'm the number 1 pick. Everything revolves around me. He is trying to earn that respect. And so I think the process is working out that way. Now, even though anything close, we all know the reality is he was going to start.
Now, Derek, let's go back to 2008 because we like to bring up your experience with Joe Flacco. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Joe Flacco was entering that season as QB3, but there were injuries to QB1 and QB2, correct?
Here's the deal. Steve McNair ended up retiring, early. I don't think they expected, that he would retire maybe after the season, but not right then and there. But Steve had a lot of injuries, and I think that last year he was injured. I think it took a lot out of him. So he ends up, retiring. They end up drafting Joe. Now, Troy Smith was already there. Troy Smith was penciled in as the starter. And then it was Joe, and we had somebody else. I forget who the third quarterback was.
Was it Kyle Bowler at that time?
Yeah, Kyle might have been on the roster.
But didn't Troy Smith get hurt like in a preseason
No.
game
Troy
or
got
something?
sick.
Troy got sick. Okay.
He didn't even play in a preseason.
But it opened the door for Flacco.
It opened the door for Flacco. And, Flacco came in, and obviously, the rest is history with him. But when you see at the beginning, when they drafted Cam, there is competition because Will Levis is still there, and Will Levis is a young enough quarterback, hungry enough, that he was going to push Cam Ward as hard as he possibly and physically could by his play. He was going to push him. And that was supposed to be the race with whoever didn't win it. If Cam didn't win it outright, if there still was like some thought of, man, he's not ready, maybe, just maybe, there would have been an avenue for Will Levis to start. Maybe. But then you bring in Brandon Allen, who's there also. So to me, I felt if Will Levis didn't win the job, they were going to get rid of him or do something, and then Allen would be the guy behind him. But obviously, it didn't work. Will gets hurt and he has surgery. But here's the part that I'm really concerned about, because I just want competition across the board. I think the kid is going to be the starting quarterback, and I think up until now, he's earned that right to be sitting there. And if you're putting odds, you put it on him because he's earned that right. But nobody's pushing him. And this is what Callahan, they preach, competition. He has no competition at that position. They just cut Boyle to bring in Simeon. Simeon's not pushing him.
Do you think their intention was to have Levis push him?
I think the intention was to have Will Levis push him. And they believed in his mind that the kid will win out.
Right.
Even if it was close, he won.
Yeah. So in a way, the race is a little bit fixed.
Exactly.
Right?
Absolutely.
You have a hope that the first pick in the draft is going to beat out Will Levis.
Exactly.
The problem you were into is, what if Will Levis actually wins the job?
And then that's a dilemma.
Right.
Because
then you have a media mess that you probably don't want.
No, but that's a good dilemma, because if Will Levis is playing really well, then that's a good thing to have, because now you can honestly say, even though I would have wanted the kid to start, Cam to start, you would actually be able to go up to the podium and say the kid's not ready, and everybody would leave you because of what they would have seen from Will Levis. They would have said, you know what? They're right. The kid got pushed and Will won the job, but the kid is good, and maybe he does need to sit a year.
I do want to go back to asking you about your experience in Baltimore. So unlike Cam Ward, who was the number 1 overall pick with the expectation that he was going to start right away, Joe Flacco was a first-round quarterback. He was a mid-first-round quarterback. But if I have it right, he wasn't expected to be the starter immediately. So how did Flacco, when that opportunity presented itself, how did Flacco go about earning the trust of you and the other incredibly celebrated, heralded Ravens veterans on that team? What did he do?
Watched and learned, made sure he knew his job. And when he went out there, we knew he was going to have mistakes. But when we needed you, can you make a play for us? And he did it. He showed that he could make a play. Now, we didn't put him in many positions to where he had to win the game for us. We had a good defense, solid running game, and obviously I was there. So myself and Todd Heap. So we were good. And Mark Clayton, he was young. He was a rookie. Hell of a wide receiver at Oklahoma, but he just got injured. Once he got in the NFL, I thought he was going to have a really good career himself, but he ended up getting injured. But Joe, what he did is what Cam Ward is doing. He came in early, left late. He made sure he called meetings when he needed to, made sure guys watched film with him. But the one thing he did, I think, better than anything, he watched the other leaders in front of him. He just watched them. And he didn't feel as if he had to go out and be the guy. He was one of 52 guys.
And there's a big difference, though.
Well, our team was different. You're right. The makeup of the team was different in Baltimore.
There were a lot of natural leaders on that 2008 Baltimore Ravens team.
No, you're right.
Can't say the same about the 2025 Tennessee
Titans.
Titans.
Tough situation to be in.
Yeah.
But I do like that he has not been crowned the starter before he ever earns the job. At least create
But everybody
some
knows he's a
semblance.
starter. Everybody.
True, but you still make him go get it.
Let's go to our friend Gorilla on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. What's up, man? Go ahead.
What's going on, fellas? How you doing today, man?
Good.
Good.
Hey, check this out. I think the litmus test was over for him being the starter, you know, as far as if there was any questions when the receiver came out, when Calvin Ridley came out and said what he said about him, when Jeffrey gave him a nod. And I'm of the persuasion of belief that it wasn't even really so much about Will Levis pulling him. I just felt like, Will Levis pushing him. I think they were just trying to pad Will Levis up to try to get a trade or something for him. I think that we drafted the kid to be the starter, number one out the gate. One of the things that we were excited about that was coming out of the Titans camp was his leadership qualities. So I think he's just a natural born leader. And you know this here, Mace, you know, you can't breed that. You can't fake that. The kid, he just has it. It's just in him. He knows how to lead men, you know. I'll hang up and listen, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Gorilla. I think he has shown, you know, the ability to be a leader. He has those, you know, traits or intangibles that I think you need. And I think every day he's showing it. But it's not a finished product by no means. And there's going to be pitfalls. You just hope those falls are not as far and he doesn't hit the ground as hard. Because he's going to have to learn from each and every one of them. But I do think he has the makeup of what you want from a starting quarterback in this league. So now he has to put together, you know, the product on the field.
Quickly, Willie, another interesting thing in this article by Dan Graziano, and Albert Breer wrote about this as well. But this is from Graziano. Quote, Callahan made the decision to make training camp as intentionally difficult as possible for Ward. The Titans are dialing up blitzes and fake blitzes in practice. They're also using a 15-second shot clock instead of a 40-second play clock, a trick Cincinnati used with Burrow in 2020. Given Ward's extensive college experience and makeup, the Titans coaches felt the best way to bring him along quickly was to stress him and let him work through the struggles.
That's been a theme that I think we've hit on throughout the camp that should be put into context when people throw out that he's completed only 56% of the passes in practice, et cetera. Well, that's part of the reason why they're making it difficult, more difficult than in theory it will be in a lot of game situations, not all game situations, because they're trying to simulate what it is going to be like in the toughest situations in the NFL. And they're going to be they're going to have some tough ones, starting with the first week at Mile High Stadium against one of the better defenses in the league. It's going to start off at a very high level. So I think that is definitely evident. So many people are picking up on those themes. They're trying to make it tough. The other thing that I see about Will Levis, D-May's just mentioned it, the makeup. His makeup looks like a big plus.
You mean Cam Ward?
Cam Ward. His makeup looks very good. And here are a couple of examples. He doesn't look like he's about the commercials. I don't think we're going to see him pumping iron shirtless and things like that.
Someone's bringing up the docuseries as we speak, I'm sure, on our text line.
But that's different. To me, that's different. I don't think we're going to be pitching mayonnaise, right? No offense to his predecessor.
No cologne.
I also don't think he's going to have a camera crew with his brother or relative or somebody sneaking up on a reporter and then intentionally catching him, chastising reporter for not writing anything positive.
That was Shedeur Sanders, not Will Levis.
Which is what Shedeur Sanders did. Okay. I don't think Cam Ward is about that. That is what everybody seems to be picking up on. He shows up at 5:00. He goes through the meetings with his guys, and he is about football. And I think he says I think that should serve him well. Doesn't mean he's going to be great or the team's going to be great right away, but I think it will help him get through the tough times. Not that the other thing, not that there's any wrong way to do things, but I like his approach.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on Cam Ward on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. But coming up next, Titans fans, you're miserable. But where does your misery rank in the NFL? We have data on that. We will share that coming up next. And you know what? Here's something to chase those blues away. Be caller number 2 at 615-737-1025, and you will win a pair of tickets to the Nashville Dance Fest at the legendary Nashville Palace, September 5th through 7th. Nashville Dance Fest is taking over 90,000 square feet behind the legendary Nashville Palace for the ultimate country dance and music experience. So be caller number 2, 615-737-1025, and you will win a pair of tickets to the Nashville Dance Fest at Nashville Palace, September 5th through 7th. Willie Dunnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Derek Mason here, and if you've been injured in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or matter of fact, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. They understand how much your bike gear is worth to you. They will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville at 2126 21st Ave South. Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace Vingan, Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. A reminder, coming up at 5 o'clock, Titans fans, we're going to play a game called State Your Case. You tell us something about the Titans that you are absolutely certain of entering this season. You can call us, you can text us. This is, again, at 5 o'clock. But you tell us something about the Titans that you are absolutely certain of entering the season. Willie, Derek, and I will discuss it. We'll determine if you're onto something or full of crap, as I said earlier. So we'll do that at 5 o'clock. But before we get there, Titans fans, you're miserable. We know that. You know that. But where does your misery rank in the NFL? Because boy, oh boy, do I love to quantify things. And ESPN sent me, is it manna from heaven? Is that the saying? ESPN sent me manna from heaven with this tool called the Sports Misery Index. Whether there's confetti falling from your team's last title or you're still waiting to see your first, you probably have an idea of how satisfied or miserable you are as a fan. But could you put a number on it? So we're going to do this exercise together. I'm going to hit start. Hi, I'm Misery Bot. I will be your guide as we take a hard look at the teams you love. All right. So there are certain categories of misery. Titans fans, I'm going to put you at the worst category, woeful, the lowest of lows. We wouldn't wish this on anyone, almost anyone, because the Titans have, in fact, been the worst team in the NFL over the past 2.5 years. So now I'm going to type in the Tennessee Titans. And Misery Bot says, the Tennessee Titans still can't believe Kevin Dyson came that close.
Wow.
How long have you been a fan? Less than 5 years? 5 to 15 years, or 15 plus years? I think a lot of you are 15 plus year fans of the Titans, so I'll do that. See results. It's calculating. So, according to this misery index, and let me tell you how ESPN came up with this number. Quote, these ratings were determined using a combination of regular season wins, postseason success, and expected win data in the form of preseason over-unders. This information was collected for each of the 7 leagues going back a maximum of 25 years. Expected win data was not available for every season of every sport, so in some cases, that data was omitted from the formula. Postseason results were weighted slightly more than regular season results. So the Tennessee Titans, according to this formula, have a misery rating of 90, which ranks 8th in the NFL, which is bad.
Most woeful?
Yes, which is bad. Let me tell you the teams. Let me tell you the teams that are ahead of the Tennessee Titans in the misery index, and then you all tell me if you think where the Titans are is appropriate. Number 1 with a rating of 97. Well, actually, it's tied for first because there are 2 with 97 ratings. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the New York Jets have ratings of 97. Wow. So Jacksonville and the Jets are numbers 1 and 2 are tied for first. At number 3 with a misery rating of 96, the Cleveland Browns. At 4, actually tied for 4th, the Chicago Bears and the Las Vegas Raiders at 94. And tied for 6th at 91 apiece, the Arizona Cardinals and the Washington Commanders. So here are the teams again.
So the Commanders somehow got down to 91. They must have been higher than 91 because they had a pretty good year last year.
Well, keep in mind, 100%. Keep in mind, I believe they had not won a playoff game in 20 years before winning last year. So again, according to ESPN Sports Misery Index, here are the fan bases in the NFL who should be more miserable than the Tennessee Titans. Jacksonville, the Jets, Cleveland, Chicago, Las Vegas, Arizona, and Washington.
I'm surprised the Lions are not above the Titans.
That's what I was thinking.
The Lions
shaved down. They've shaved down.
The Lions are tied for 13th at 87 with the Carolina Panthers.
What?
Well, the Panthers have at least made it to a couple of Super Bowls.
Yeah, you got a point. The Detroit hadn't made it to any.
But they've been playing well lately.
They've had
2 years.
Had an uptick. They must have been in the mid-90s not long ago.
They've been playing well for 2 years.
They're not all the way up to 14.
And before that, they were horrible.
But there's a feel-good.
Don't blame me. Blame the data.
The data. I'm not. See. Listen. The saying is, numbers are, they're correct and all that. They don't lie. The numbers don't lie. The numbers are lying. But they are lying for the Lions.
How the current today feeling is probably weighted more than anything else, right?
Yes.
Because if it weren't, then the
well,
Buccaneers.
Washington shouldn't be up there, dear, because everybody feel good about the Commanders.
Yeah, but that's how bad they were before.
The Lions were even worse.
Right. But at least they have 2 years ago.
Yeah, you got a point.
Washington's got 1 year.
You got a point.
But what do you think about that list? So Derek thinks,
Ironically, Washington beat Detroit in the playoff game.
So Derek thinks the Lions should be above the Titans, considering that the Titans have had more. I mean, the Titans did have a run of playoff success not too long ago.
Well, they had 6 straight winning seasons, right?
Yeah.
That's not miserable.
And they've been to a AFC championship game in the process.
Couple division
championships. Are they how far back are they? How far back are they going?
Take a look below to see where your team stands among the competition over the last 15 years.
Oh, well, we can't go back to.
So it doesn't count the Super Bowl teams.
Exactly. Yeah.
The best Titans teams.
But even with that, the Lions, they've been horrible. How did the Lions get?
By the way, there are 3 teams in the NFL with a misery rating of 0. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New England Patriots.
But the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia fans are always miserable about something. Like remember, even between the 2 Super Bowls, remember how ugly it got when they were 10-1.
Fire Nick Sirianni.
Absolutely.
Like, during
it got ugly that year.
To the Super Bowl this year, they were thinking about it.
They got destroyed by who in the first round? The Buccaneers just crushed them in the first round of the playoffs 2 years ago, and that ended a run where I think they lost 7 of the last 8, something like that. I think they went from 10-1 to out. Maybe won 1 game in there. There was definitely some misery in there.
So
0.
So number 1,
it can't be 0.
0.
There was misery in there.
Number 1. One of the number ones.
The Philadelphia fans are miserable to start with. Who are we kidding? They threw the snowballs at Santa Claus.
Yeah, anytime you throw snowballs at Santa Claus.
Can't forget that.
Was it the Santa Claus?
We know that the Jets fans are we know that Jets fans are miserable because the Jets have not made the playoffs in a decade and a half. So we know that Jets fans are miserable. I didn't realize this about the Jacksonville Jaguars, who also have the highest misery index rating of 97. The Jacksonville Jaguars made the playoffs in 4 of their first 5 seasons as a franchise. Since then, so since the year 2000, they have made the playoffs 4 times. So 4 times in the first 5 years. Since then, 4 times in the past 25 years, basically.
Good grief.
So they're pretty miserable.
Yeah, they are.
After getting a taste of the good times early.
Yeah.
Jonathan in East Nashville says, Chiefs fans still live in Kansas. Well, they actually live in Missouri. How can it be 0? There have to be location factors included. That is not a part of the algorithm, I don't think.
Don't take a cheap shot at Kansas City like that.
So where do we think about the Titans' placement on this list? 8th. Fair?
I mean,
too high, too low?
I think if you're basing it on, what we are experiencing now, then I would say, yeah, the misery index should be high. But I think within the last 15 years, I mean, you throw in AFC Championship game, some really good seasons, playoff seasons where they won inside the playoffs. I would have thought it would have been lower than that. But these last 2 seasons, especially, the last one, that was just a cherry on top where after 2 losing seasons, and then that third, you get the number 1 pick. That's a cherry on top. So I can see why, the misery index is high, because looking at this roster, looking at what they have done in the past, the roster that they have now based on the past, and what you saw last year, yeah, I mean, it would seem pretty miserable around here.
By the way, because the ESPN did this for the NFL, Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, the NBA, the NHL, the National Women's Soccer League, if I have that correct, and the WNBA. Predators fans, you rank 17th in the NHL in the misery index with a misery rating of 76.
Did anybody have a 100 misery rating?
I'll have to take a look. By the way, the clear leader in the clubhouse in the NHL, no shock here, Willie Donick, the Buffalo Sabres with a rating of 90, with a rating of 97. Okay, let's see who the highest are.
97.
What's interesting is the Maple Leafs. I looked at the Maple Leafs. They're 12th, but you know that their misery just reaches levels that we can't even comprehend.
It can't be quantified.
Yeah.
So you want to know the highest ratings
I think
in
the system is a little bit off.
in the four major sports.
I think it has to be basketball.
In the four major sports, the Jaguars and Jets in the NFL tied at 97.
Mm-hmm.
In Major League Baseball, the White Sox and Rockies tied at 95. In the NBA, the Pistons all alone at 98.
What? My Pistons?
And the Sabres in the NHL at 97.
That's what I mean.
They were improved.
Yeah, they got a good team. They went to the playoffs last year.
The
After
Detroit
being awful.
Yeah.
Right before
27 straight
the
losses.
Pistons have the worst rating of all of the leagues at 98.
I think that's fair.
Why did I even bring it up? Why did I even
uptick.
ask you that question? In my hometown team, it would be that.
615-737-1025. Is that an accurate representation of your misery, listeners? The Titans, the 8th most miserable fans, according to this fancy algorithm from ESPN, with a rating of 90, behind only the likes of Jacksonville, the Jets, Cleveland, Chicago, Las Vegas, Arizona, and Washington. You let us know. 615-737-1025. There is another question based off of this that I do want to ask Willie and Derek, and we'll do that next. But I want to know, is that an accurate representation of your misery? 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
All right, let's talk Loan Pronto. Instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. These are the things that can get you cash from your home's equity and get it to you in a hurry. It's called the Rapid Equity Loan Program from Loan Pronto. So if you're looking to kill some credit card debt, looking to knock out some high interest debt, maybe a car loan, pay it off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Your home's equity is yours, so use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto right now for a free instant home appraisal. See how much cash you can get today, and then put your plan into motion. Loan Pronto is an A-plus rated business by the BBB, and they have nearly 2,500 five-star Google reviews. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. Get that relief right now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D. Mace, Vin, Donick, 1025, 1063. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. A reminder, coming up in the next segment at 5 o'clock, Titans fans, it's time to state your case. You tell us something about the Titans that you are absolutely certain of entering this season. And Willie, Derek, and I will discuss it, and we'll determine how reasonable your case is. And we will do that at 5 o'clock. So be listening then. You can also get them in early if you'd like. First come, first serve at 615-737-1025. So we were just talking about ESPN's Sports Misery Index. The Tennessee Titans in the NFL rank 8th, meaning Titans fans, you are the 8th most miserable fans in the NFL, behind Jacksonville, the Jets, Cleveland, Chicago, Las Vegas, Arizona, and Washington. So here's my question. Of those teams, let's focus on those 8, the Titans and the 7 above them in this list. Where would you rank the Titans in terms of the likeliest to get out of this group?
I think the hardest thing about this is to set aside how currently miserable you are. Because if you'd have done this a few years ago, they wouldn't have been that miserable. I think it was more miserable after not seizing on the success of the out of nowhere run of 2019, right? And then squandering home field advantage in the playoffs in 2020 and 2021. That's a different kind of misery. But it's hard to top Jacksonville and the Browns and the Raiders. And what was the other one at the top? Washington for a long time, but who am I missing at the very, very top besides Cleveland and Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, the Jets.
The Jets. Oh, my
Cleveland,
goodness.
Chicago,
Jets.
Las Vegas, Arizona, and Washington.
That's tough to top. That's tough to top that level of misery there. But I think if they hit on Cam Ward, I think they could get out of it reasonably fast. But we just have talked about the lack of success of first overall picks here recently, and how it doesn't always solve your problems. If Cam Ward doesn't hit, then they could go up on the list. Don't you think?
Yeah, they may.
They could sink lower.
Washington is clearly a number 1 on this list, I would say, of the teams ahead of the Titans in terms of getting out of that misery.
They appear
group.
to have the savior that has rescued them from this list.
So who?
Because they were a perpetual team
Yes.
on that list
Yes.
for decades.
Yes. Who would you put second?
Second on the misery list.
So if Washington is number 1 in terms of the teams
getting out of the list,
getting out of the top, getting off the top of the list. If Washington is 1, who's 2? Between Jacksonville, the Jets, Cleveland, Chicago, Las Vegas, Arizona.
I would say Arizona.
Really?
Yeah, I would say Arizona. I think Arizona has
spinning their wheels.
Yeah.
I think Arizona. You're just talking about. I mean, you can go to the Raiders because of Pete Carroll and Geno Smith, but it doesn't seem like word coming out of there. They ain't seem like they're getting any better. The Raiders are.
They do have an all-pro second-year tight end.
Yeah, you do.
That's
You're right
helpful,
about that.
and a great pass rusher, and Max Crosby.
You're right about that.
So they do have those things.
And that same team was miserable last year.
But they won't have the same coach either for long, just because Pete Carroll's in his 70s.
That
Well,
is true.
And Geno, and they don't have a franchise quarterback either, because Geno is in his 30s.
Part of me wanted to put Chicago next, but we talked about Caleb Williams.
Yeah, Chicago has problems. I don't know what's going on down there. So if Washington's number 1, I'm picking Arizona.
I agree with Willie. It seems like annual mediocrity. I don't know.
It could be.
I don't think Kyler Murray. I don't think Kyler Murray is the type of quarterback that gets them to the next level.
I think their offense is going to be a pretty good offense. It's going to carry them. They got some defensive players, but I'm picking Arizona.
Murray can sort of tease you and have a section of a really good run. Like he can play 3 or 4 straight games where you're like, wow, this guy's really good, but it just never seems to manifest itself
long term.
Yeah. So that's that first 7 is pretty good. The Bears should, with all of the picks that they've acquired and put out there. And I would say also that, as recently as about 2 years ago, I was all in on Jacksonville was going to make a big push. They should go on a run of success. Simply because when you pick that high that many times, you should eventually get some good players.
Yeah, you
They
should.
have messed some stuff up.
I would say, realistically, if you're looking at it, which team should, outside of Washington, obviously, um, it has to be the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they got so much talent.
Does it,
on their
though?
team? I mean, if you just look at their team, they got the best defensive player in the NFL, I believe, in Myles Garrett. They got some really solid players. They're still trying to figure out the quarterback position,
which they've been trying to do for how long now?
They've been
since they came back to the
since they got back. Really,
Yes.
they've had their little, they've had some good play here and there, but they thought obviously Deshaun Watson was going to be their guy. He turns out not to be. But they have a good group of individuals, I think, players, a lot of them on the defensive side, obviously, but they got some solid to good players on offense. This team shouldn't be as bad as they have been the last couple of years. And I think everybody can agree with that. Because they've had enough picks in the top 10 that this team should be better. They're only what are they? 2 years removed from going to the playoffs? Was it 2 years?
Joe
3 years?
Flacco took
Yeah,
them to
with
the
Joe
playoffs.
Flacco.
Yeah.
So this team is
the misery was relieved for a brief period there.
So this team is not like.
But the misery is also dyed in the wool if you are a Cleveland Browns fan. So you could
believe land.
Well, it's like using a Tide pen. You can use it and the stain looks a little bit better, but the stain is still there. So that's what that playoff appearance was for the Cleveland Browns. It's like the stain doesn't look as bad, but the stain is still there.
I think we'd have to admit there's some recency bias in this list.
Yes.
But the layers, the Browns have got layers of the misery because they've had an 0-16 in there.
Yeah. Well, Detroit did too.
That's what's weird about that. Yeah.
That was in 08.
Oh, so they just missed.
This may be excluded. That may be excluded.
2 years.
For the 15-year mark.
I should have used, Willie, instead of the Tide pen, I should have used the Seinfeld reference with the cashmere, the spot on the cashmere. Like you can try to get it out. It'll never come out, right? Let's go to Mark in Nashville on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Mark, my man, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
All right, hold up just a minute. This call is brought to you by 102.5 The Game. This is Mark from Nashville. Number one caller in Nashville, y'all, and crown me. Today you crowned me, Adam, number one caller.
We'll see how good this call is first, Mark.
You got to keep proving yourself every day. You're only as good as your last call, Mark.
Exactly.
Hey, Willie, you know I'm good with my call.
Oh, yeah, I got confidence in you. I believe in you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, D-Mace, the disrespect for Detroit. Man, you're from up that way. I got relatives up that way. Texting me right now about what is D-Mace talking about.
They know what I'm talking about, 50 years of misery.
Yeah, but D-Mace, they got a good young team. They're going to stay good. Now, what I'm going to worry about is the loss of Ben Johnson, because that's a big loss right there, D-Mace. I mean, that's a huge loss. That's even more of a loss losing Campbell than it was him. So I want to see what that translates into with Joe Morton and the new defensive coordinator Kelvin Shepard. But, I mean, man, people need to be patient with the Titans. They really do. Give Cam a chance, man. He's just a rookie. He hadn't even played his first NFL game. I mean, preseason don't really count to me. Is when they start the games that matter, the money games where they make their money. Let's see what Cam does. I hope Callahan gets to stay because I want to see him grow with Cam Ward, man. I want to see him grow just like some of these other coaches get to grow with their players. Belichick, Brady is like that. I'm not going to say 20 years of that, but I just want to see him grow and have a chance to be a good quarterback. Because I don't want to see Callahan lose his job. Then you got another head coach. You got to learn another offensive system. That's not good for a second-year guy coming off his rookie year. But, I mean, look, people, just give them a chance and stuff. Yeah, they're in a bad dilemma right now, but Arizona D-Mace, come on now, man. Chicago, man, like Willie said, you and Willie said, they got all these draft picks, man. There is no excuse for them. Now you got Ben Johnson. Taylor Williams has to produce now. He's got to go 70% of his pass. He's got to get them to a playoff. They got to win. Y'all said y'all wanted a good call. Here it is. So, people, don't forget, Mark from Nashville, I speak for the people. I'm crowned number one caller. There you go, Willie. Put it in the bank. D-Mace, Adam, Adam, nice talking to you, Adam. I'm sorry I didn't get to speak to you first, but I had a lot on my mind. Teammates, I hadn't forgot. So don't get on me. Teammates, don't get on me. Adam, what's up? Teammates, what's up? Willie, what's up? Hey, man, y'all, good day. I'm going to take myself home. I'm tired. I got to make another trip to Atlanta tomorrow. So I'll be calling in tomorrow, too.
All right, Mark. We'll
Man,
be listening to you.
Thank you, Mark.
We'll be waiting for you. Thank you, Mark.
Let's merge the misery index with what we used as the first topic, right? So there are 9 quarterbacks that were picked from 2021 through 2024 with one of the first 4 picks in the draft. Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville.
Misery index.
Misery index.
Tied number 1.
Caleb Williams, Bears.
They're in the top 5 as well.
I
closed the box. I have to get it back up.
3 in the misery index, right? Bryce Young, Panthers. They are still living off some Cam Newton years, I think. Zach Wilson, Jets, 2nd pick in the draft. High misery index. He's on his 3rd team already. Jaden Daniels, the savior. He's the guy on this list that has gotten his team dangerously close to being out of the misery index, but Washington is still on the list.
That number 7.
CJ Stroud, 2nd pick in the draft. Pretty good success story. Daniels and Stroud are the 2 most successful quarterbacks of these 9. Trey Lance, this is kind of an outlier, right? San Francisco traded up, used the 3rd pick in the draft on Trey Lance. That one worked terribly, but yet
the Niners are 25th in the misery
they've won a lot of
index.
games despite that. That's a weird one. Drake May for the Patriots, 3rd pick in the draft. He's only on his 2nd year, but
a misery index of 0 for the New England Patriots.
Currently?
Yes.
They were pretty bad last year.
The Chiefs, the Patriots, and the Eagles, 0.
It's still living off the Brady years.
Correct.
And then 9th is Anthony Richardson, the 4th pick in the draft, who's
Coulter,
dangerously
12th.
close to moving on from him. So that is not the most impressive list of 9 quarterbacks there. There's a lot of misery when you pick that high. And I think it sets the backdrop for what Cam Ward has in front of him, because 7 of those 9 quarterbacks have already seen a coaching change in either the head coach, the offensive coordinator, or both.
615-737-1025. Summary, y'all are miserable. We know that. But now at least we have a number we can put on it. 615-737-1025. Okay, it's time, Titans fans, to state your case. Here is what I need you to do. Call us or text us at 615-737-1025 and tell us something about the Titans that you are absolutely certain of entering this season. And Willie, Derek, and I, we will discuss it, and we will do that next. 615-737-1025. State your case, Titans fans. Let us know something that you are absolutely certain of in your gut, in your bones, and we will discuss it. Coming up next, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace Finnegan and Donick 1025, The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. All right. Here's what we're doing, Titans fans. We're playing a new game. I could not come up with a better title, so we're going to go with my original title. State your case. And here is what we need you to do. At 615-737-1025, our phone and text lines are driven, as always, by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I need you to tell us something about the Titans that you are absolutely certain will happen this season. Again, call us or text us. Tell us something about the Titans that you are absolutely certain will happen this season, and Willie, Derek, and I will discuss it. So let's start on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, with Dylan in Antioch. Dylan, thank you for calling, my friend. Please go ahead. State your case.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, Mark's getting a little too big for his britches over there. I don't think you can just proclaim yourself the number one. I think that's got to be voted on over here. No, man, I'm just messing with you, Mark. Okay, so I was thinking about this. This isn't too exciting, but my prediction and what I know is going to happen. The special teams are going to be better. They've got to be better. I mean, you go from Colt Anderson, Craig Ackerman, you got Fossil in here, who's very well regarded. I mean, I feel bad for Stonehouse. I feel like they kind of low-key ruined that guy's career. You know, forget punting. I mean, I hope he can walk again right after what they did to his leg with that awful, awful special teams. But, yeah, guys, that's I want to start off with something positive here. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, those special teams, they got to be better. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dylan. Let's combine that. And Derek's the right person to answer this question. Let's combine Dylan's call with this text. State your case. The special teams will be top 5 in the league. The Bones Fossil plus Borgonzi priorities, the right players who hold their lanes, tackle, and block when needed. Kicker/punter win us at least one game, if not 2.
I'm going to say the same thing because I'm going to be consistent.
Top 5?
Top 5.
I am going to say the same thing I said about one team here that I'm going to say about the Titans in this particular area. And they're both sort of special teams. When we had this question about the Predators, and I think you, Adam, came up with the question, should they finish as a top 10 power play team because
yes, we
of
did
the
talk
additions?
about that. Yep.
And I said, yes, they should.
Actually, you said, yes, they better.
Yeah, they better. And they didn't.
No, they did not.
So you go out and you get what many consider the best, or if not the best, he's a top 3 special teams coach in the National Football League. Your special teams need to be one of the tops in the NFL. It needs to be. Now, I'm not saying top 5 because special teams was horrible last year. And if you go from being horrible to top 5, you should get a head coaching job off of that alone. But they should be a lot better.
So set the bar. So Willie, you I'm sure can pull these numbers from FTN.
Right, they were 32nd
by a wide margin.
It wasn't close.
So are we?
And this was with a kicker that basically did not miss last year.
So are we talking? Should they go from worst to somewhere in the bottom third of the league?
They should crack the top 20.
Okay.
They should crack the top 20.
So top 5.
I think that's a reasonable goal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would
be
good. Is a little lofty.
Yes, top 5 is lofty.
That's a big jump.
A lot. I mean,
but it can range.
It can happen.
You can have wide swings.
Yeah, it can happen in special teams if the kicker is kicking, 50
yarders,
and if you cover them well. Yeah, I mean, it can't happen.
So bad.
You can go from 32nd to a top 5 team in 1 year. I think that can happen,
and avoid the catastrophic
injuries in plays. But I do believe
the
that
punts for touchdowns,
32nd to top 10 to top 20, that is a massive jump.
Okay, so
like if you don't have a block punt for a touchdown, that should move you up a couple of notches right there. They had 3?
Too many.
So you think that the ceiling should be cracking the top 20?
Yes.
So we're talking like 18, 19, 20.
Yes.
That's a sizable improvement.
That I mean, you're jumping about a third of the league if you were to do that. Let's go to our friend Adam from Portland on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Adam, state your case, my friend. Go ahead.
I can guarantee that, because we all think that for the most part, the ceiling for the Titans this year is probably 6 wins and Cam Ward does okay. I guarantee Brian Callahan gets fired. Like, there's no way out of it for him. Mike Mularkey is the proof of that. Does not matter what you do right here. You're going to get, the coach is getting fired. They want their own coach, and they think he's a stud, so they're going to go and get their own coach. He's getting fired.
Adam, quickly before you go, he's gone. I was going to ask if it happens in season or at the end of the season, but we did receive multiple texts that were just like Adam's call, stating the case that Brian Callahan will be fired by the end of the season.
Wow.
We went through all of the numbers, Willie, so the data suggests that it could happen.
Yes. High percentage that when you have a rookie quarterback who is a top 4 pick, the likelihood that the coach survives is not good, which is why I think you heard Cam Ward crying for stability, and you would have to go sort of against the grain to keep a guy through the tough times. So we'll see, because that very well could be put to the test.
Let's go to Casey in Gallatin on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Casey, thank you for calling. State your case.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for the call.
Of course.
Love the show and glad that you're here. Wish Jared well, but much gladder that y'all are here.
We appreciate it.
So I guarantee that L'Jarius Sneed will play no more than 1 game for the Titans this year.
But do you think he'll play 1?
You think he will play 1?
Well, I think he'll come back, whether it's week 1 or whether it's week 4 or 6, whatever, and he'll get hurt in that game, and that'll be his career for the Tennessee Titans.
All right, Casey. Thank you for stating your case.
I mean, if he does get hurt and play 1 game, it would truly be the end for him here in Tennessee.
I did hear Robbie Stanley talk about this earlier this week on Robbie and Rex Road, about how Lloyd Cushenberry came back from an Achilles injury sooner than L'Jarius Sneed from his quad/knee.
Well, he's not back yet. Cushenberry's not back.
But he's been activated from PUP, which Sneed has not been.
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know what to tell you. I mean,
how many games do you all think he'll play this season?
It's such a unique injury and a mysterious kind of thing. I think he will play, but I think they've clearly gotten to the point where they are just anything they get from him is gravy at this point.
Didn't they say, or was that Cushenberry? Didn't they say he would be ready for the first game of the season? Was that Cushenberry?
I think they are feeling. Cushenberry says he'll be ready.
Yeah,
I
but
think
did they
Brian
say
Callahan
that about,
stopped short of saying we expect him to be ready for week 1. I think he's trying to give himself a little bit. No, for Cushenberry.
Yeah. I'm talking about the Sneed.
Sneed, it was. I think Adam makes the point. He was asked about both at the beginning of the week in his press conference, the before the second practice. There was a lot of optimism with Cushenberry. There was zero optimism and timetable with Sneed. It was, I don't know. He is doing workouts, right? He is there, and he's working out. They keep saying that, but they don't make it sound like he's close to playing. Now, that being said, they still don't play a real game for several weeks. You know, today is August 14th. They don't play a regular season game until what? September 8th?
Yeah, so they got
they got
4 weeks, 3 weeks.
They got 3 or 4 weeks here.
Yeah.
A lot could happen in 3 or 4 weeks, but I think he will play. I don't think there's a question. He will play. It's what does he look like when he's out there? Does he look anything close to what they thought they were trading for?
Put a number on it. How many games do you think at least L'Jarius Sneed will play this season?
At least?
At least.
At least 6. At least.
Derek?
Listen, I am more in line with the caller. I really am. Because you're right. They were more optimistic about Cushenberry's injury in coming back.
And we know how devastating Achilles injuries can be.
Absolutely. And
especially for a man of his size.
They were not that way with L'Jarius Sneed. So that makes me believe I put him at 1 game.
Oh, okay.
Because your question was, will he? Phrase your question again.
I said, how many games do you think at least?
At least he will play 1 game.
Okay.
Absolutely right.
Okay.
He will at least play 1 game. That's
Setting
right.
the bar low.
You're
I'm
not
setting
going
it
above
very
1
low.
right now.
I'm not. Listen,
You're with Casey.
He hasn't even stepped on a practice field to practice yet. And I know we got almost 4 weeks.
But that's sort of his thing, though, not practicing.
Well, that's what got his ass where he's at now.
That's nothing new.
He ain't playing. I ain't mean to say it in a bad way, but I'm saying like, well, when you don't practice, then you get hurt.
It's very hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get that tag off your back that you're going to play.
Be some rust.
I'll put the number at his number of games last season. He'll play at least 5.
Man,
He'll
y'all
play
are
at least 5.
optimistic.
Willie said 10.
I said 6.
Oh, 6. I think you said
y'all
10.
are very optimistic.
Okay, I said 5.
Yeah, but see, y'all are not, because your question is at least.
At least.
Right, at least.
That's the key word.
The minimum.
At least
the minimum.
1.
You guys are wimping out.
1. He would play at least 1 play.
Well, okay.
Can I go that low? Can I go as low as said he would play at least 1 play?
Well, you just did.
How about I ask you it this way, Derek? Let me ask you more directly. Directly, how many games does L'Jarius Sneed play in? I want a specific number.
Okay, let's table that because we have a little time. But I will tell you that when we do our 10 Titan questions for the season, that will be a question.
Thank you for
that
stopping me,
will
Willie.
be one of the questions.
Thank you for stopping
so
me.
hold that thought.
Because we don't have to place our prediction right now. We can wait and see if he advances at all in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, man, you almost gave the people the scrolls, man. You almost gave them the scrolls.
Just a little sneak peek.
We gotta take them away, guys. Come on.
Let's go.
Little sneak peek of the scrolls, people.
Let's go to Wes and Hermitage on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Wes, thanks for calling. State your case.
All right, I'm going to state my first thing first, Mark. You can have that, man, because they know me as the dad joke god over here, man. But you might
we got battles.
Hey, we've got to fight for the number 1 caller on the station.
Hey, we need to ask some more people. Come on, who want to fight for this number 1 position?
Hey, man, but all love, man. Adam has been calling into this show, Adam from Portland, for years. I love listening to him call in, but he's wrong. Because I think my you can stamp it, man. I think the Titans win no more than 5 games this year, but that Callahan keeps the job. I think they're trying to change how things in operations are going for that franchise, especially coming into the new stadium and all that stuff. I think they're going to give Callahan at least 2 to 3 years with Ward to see what he has, and that is the right thing to do, in my opinion.
All right, Wes. So thank you, Wes. So Wes says the Titans win no more than 5 games, but Brian Callahan retains his job as coach after the season.
I think, I don't want to give a sneak peek of the scrolls because these are not etched in the scrolls yet.
The 10 scrolls questions, are.
But that is definitely a possible 10 Titan questions making the cut of, will Brian Callahan do enough to return as the coach for 2026?
And people, the scrolls, see,
once it's in pen in the scrolls,
there's something about the scrolls y'all gotta understand. They only come out twice a year, people. The scrolls only come out twice a year. So when he bring the scrolls out, you need to be listening.
If you want to get in on this, we're not going to break yet. But if you want to get in on this, 615-737-1025. We want you to state your case. One texter says the Titans will for sure finish 2-4 in the division.
Ooh, okay.
2-4 in the division.
I would go further and say, what are those 2 wins?
I'm going to guess.
Listener,
I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess. Both games against Indianapolis.
You don't think they're good enough to beat Jacksonville one time?
Yeah. Houston one time?
I don't. They did beat Houston last year.
Yeah.
The division record is going to tell a lot of the story, right? Because
that was just my gut. Both wins against Indianapolis.
I can see them beating Indianapolis
especially
twice.
If Daniel Jones is starting at quarterback.
But then I
can
see Indianapolis beating them twice.
That could also happen.
Yeah.
We did see that.
There have been more games against the Colts. And for a while, like Vrabel did turn the tables on that and start beating them. But in the last however many years, I think there have been more mysterious losses against the Colts than maybe any of the teams in the division.
They just
Where it's
couldn't beat luck.
How did they
couldn't beat
lose
luck.
that game? Like the game that Richardson got hurt and Gardner Minshew beat them, and Zach Moss had like a 58-yard run and 176
yards.
Like, how did that happen? Like last year when Snead got hurt and Will Levis had the sore shoulder and there was all that, hey, my shoulder was kind of hurting. That was a game that I like, how did they lose that game? Flacco was playing. Like, the Colts were not very good. Like, how did they lose that game? There's a lot of games, weird games against the Colts that they lose.
The texter who said that texted back in, 1 Jags, 1 Colts.
So he said
1 Jags, 1 Colts.
They said they're going to go 0-2 versus the Texans, even though they beat the Texans last year.
Hair Metal Henry says, nothing, even the scrolls are etched in stone. Remember, there were 15 commandments until Mel Brooks dropped 5 of them.
He did drop 5.
You're right.
In the History of World Part 1.
Yes.
He did.
Okay, 615.
People didn't know that until that movie.
615-737-1025. Titans fans, state your case. Tell us something you are absolutely certain of in your gut, in your bones. Tell us something that you are absolutely certain will happen this season for the Tennessee Titans. And Willie, Derek, and I will discuss it. 615-737-1025. We will continue that next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Derek Mason here, and if you've been injured in a motorcycle accident, call lawtigers.com. Go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or better yet, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Listen, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, and they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them in Nashville at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D. Mace, Vin Ginendonic, 1025. The Game. Titans fans, state your case. Tell us something you are absolutely certain will happen this season for the local professional football team. You can call us and text us at 615-737-1025. Let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com. Lance is in Clarksville. Lance, state your case.
I can promise you this with a guarantee. The Titans will play 17 games.
Oh, thank you, Lance.
What he said.
I'm surprised we didn't get one of those sooner, to be honest. But he is right. They will play 17 games.
So the field will not flood or the lights won't work or something like that. They will not have an electrical outage at the old stadium from neglect or anything like that.
The turf won't be messed up, all that stuff. So, yeah, you're right. They will play 17 games.
That is how Bud Adams kind of started the ball rolling to get out of Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they did not play in the Astrodome because he said the turf was messed up.
It was
to cancel
up,
the game.
I'm sure.
All right. We have 2 Calvin Ridley related proclamations.
Okay. I'm still waiting for mine. I have mine.
Okay.
I'm waiting for one of the callers or texters to hit mine.
If they don't get it by the end of the segment, you can share it. 2 Calvin Ridleys. 1, Calvin Ridley breaks 1,200 yards with his shiny new first-round pick. Book it.
1,200.
1,200. Another texter, I have to find it, but I remember it, said that Calvin Ridley will finish in the top 5 in receiving yards.
Okay.
Top 5?
That's not happening. Sorry, texter. But let's talk. let's talk about 1,200.
You're saying it's not happening.
Calvin Ridley is a top 5 receiver in the NFL.
Okay, let's play this out a little further. The way that you could do that would be that you're behind a lot in games and you maybe get some garbage time yards.
Okay, hold on a minute. I actually may be willing to concede here. Here were the top receivers in yards last season in the NFL.
Straight up yards.
Straight up yards. Jamar Chase, 1,708. Justin Jefferson, 1,533. Brian Thomas, 1,282. Drake London, 1,271. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 1,263. Jerry Jeudy, 1,229. And Malik Neighbors, 1,204. So there were 7 receivers in the NFL last season with at least 1,200 yards. So based on that, Ridley would be a top 5 receiver if he were to crack 1,200 yards.
I feel like, number one, it shows you how dominant Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are. And they're in a different stratosphere, it seems like. And D-Mace, correct me if I'm wrong. They're used to, especially with 17 games, I feel like there used to be more of the straight-up number ones that were going to get 1,300 or more. That's a pretty big drop-off that nobody else besides Chase and Jefferson even got to 1,300. I guess
last year
they distribute the ball more?
Yeah, last year was a down year because the previous year you had 2 over 17, 2 over 14, 3 over 14, and about, I think it's 6 or 7 over 1,200 yards. So last year was just a down year. There were a lot of injuries. I think CeeDee Lamb got injured somewhat last season, and he was a 1,700 yard. Amon St. Brown, he didn't get injured. He played all his games. But then they found,
how many games did
Williamson. He was really their vertical threat in their down. So the yardage he didn't get last year, or the yardage St. Brown got last year, all of it, what they did was they took a third, maybe a quarter of it away, and it went to Williamson. And
Jamison Williams,
yeah,
you mean?
Exactly.
Okay.
Jamison Williams. And then you got Malik Neighbors. He only played 15 games. CeeDee Lamb missed 2 games. Puka Nacua, he missed a bunch of games this season.
By the way.
So I think there are a lot of injuries
so
this
maybe
season.
That was it.
Yeah.
More so than the distribution. Some of the top guys missed some games. I think the key for Ridley,
Nico missed
to get into the 1,200, which he's only done once.
And by the way, his 17-game average of his career is 1,101 yards per 17 games.
Right.
So 1,100
so that's the first thing, is he's got to play all 17 games. He's had 1,374 back in 2020 with the Falcons before the gambling thing derailed his career for basically a couple of years. He was also, I think he was hurt in there. He had some mental health, something. So for 2 years, he only played 5 games in 21 and 22. The number of targets, they threw him the ball 120 times last year. Jacksonville, they threw it to him 136 times. The targets, to me, is going to be the key to whether he can get into that 1,200 range.
Okay. One texter says, I guarantee Jarvis Brownlee Jr. will be the most penalized secondary player in the NFL.
It's a good bet.
I believe he had 9 penalties last season off the top of my head. Willie, you can look this up. I believe it was 9. So this texter guarantees that Jarvis Brownlee will be the most penalized player in the secondary in the National Football League.
I don't think that's the case. For this reason, you gotta understand, last year was his rookie season, and he's figuring out how to play this game. He's a good cornerback, physical. He's last year he was just developing and figuring it out. This year I think he will be a lot better at not getting those sort of holding calls that he got last year. I'm sure he's watched a lot of film. I'm sure Denard Wilson has talked with him about, some tricks of the trades on how to hold but not get a pass interference. And then after that, I think if he can get him 2-3 interceptions in the first 5 games, you know what that does when it comes to the refs? It gets them to look in the other way now. Because now he's sort of climbing in that area
to earn the respect.
Yeah,
you get the benefit of the
exactly,
doubt.
absolutely.
That's a key. I do think that's important because the way he likes to play is to see, and Snead was like this, right? Snead was willing to get a few penalties when he was at the top of his game,
but then he got away with a lot of it too.
He probably got away with some, and at the end of the year, his numbers were good. Brownlee had 8 penalties last year, which was not the most, but was it most penalized defensive back? Was the callers or the texters
the most
proclamation?
Yes, the most penalized player in the secondary in the NFL.
In the secondary, is that by yards or number of penalties? Because
I think I would assume number of penalties.
Okay. J.C. Latham, if you were wondering, was the most penalized Titan in terms of the most actual penalties. He had 10 penalties called on him.
So, I mean, could he lead the league? Yeah. But I think because of last year, and it seems like, he's developing, and that second year is critical. And, because you don't know what you don't know until you get in and start playing. And now he knows, or hopefully he knows, and he's understood now. There are sometimes you can do it. There are sometimes you can't. But each situation, you got to know how to do it. Because sometimes they may call it, sometimes they may not.
The most penalized defensive backs last year, Terrion Arnold, Detroit, and Surtain from Denver, 11. Each had 11.
And people say
Surtain's pretty good.
Surtain was the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
So it's not all about that set. It's also what else is going on in there.
Here's one that I think Willie will like from an unnamed texter. The Titans will start off the season with a losing record, and with that, will trade Jeffrey Simmons before the trade deadline. They will look to obtain as much draft capital as they possibly can for next year's draft. And as Coach Willie would say, look to rebuild for the future. So this texter, state your case. The Titans will start off the season with a losing record and will trade Jeffrey Simmons before the deadline.
That could
That's plausible. I think what would be tough about that is if you're doing it at the trade deadline, you're probably limited to teams that think they can win it. And therefore, if it's a first-round pick in the package there, it's not a top 15 pick I wouldn't think. Not likely anyway. But I would definitely look at it. If I could get a first-round pick and another top 60 pick in there, maybe a top 80 pick, I would really look at it. I think they need picks. This team needs picks. And then they need to hit on some picks.
Daniel on our text line says the Titans will have the least amount of sacks in the NFL. They were near the bottom last season. Don't have a lot of edge rush help.
It doesn't look good on paper right now for the sacks.
I think Daniel's proclamation is quite realistic. Here's one I don't think is quite realistic from an unnamed texter. Alec Iamander will be wide receiver 2 before the season is over. From what I have read from Titans practice, he is not impressed. I have read a lot of negative analysis of Alec Iamander at practice. Now, just because it's happening at practice doesn't mean he can't figure it out. But based on what I have read from people who cover practice, I wouldn't bet on Alec Iamander being wide receiver 2 before the season is over.
I would agree, but yet Albert Breer and Jeremy Fowler and some of the people who have come through and talked to the coaches, and they get good access. A theme that seems to run consistently, and it hasn't singled out Iamander, but Iamander, DK, and Helm are 3 guys that the theme seems to be they're going to play. So they must be doing something right, or they just don't have anybody else.
one texter, state your case. By the way, if you want to get in on this, 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You still have time to state your case. One texter says, the Titans defense will be bottom 3. Historically bad for a Titans team. Do I need to introduce the Steagles again? Do I need to bring up the Steagles? Do I need to do it?
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. Yes.
The Titans are one of 4 teams in NFL history to have a top 3 defense in terms of yards allowed per game.
That seems to be good.
And a bottom 3 defense in points allowed per game.
That's bad.
That's not good.
In the same season. And the other teams on that list, one was, I think it was the 1960 Chicago Bears, the 1955, I want to say it was the Steelers, but it was definitely 1955, and the 1943 Steagles, the combination of the Eagles and the Steelers, because they didn't have enough players to field teams because World War II was going on. Okay?
There you go.
That's a long time ago.
Woo,
that was a long time ago. So, I mean, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, but the Titans made some, what's the fancy word I'm looking for here? Ignominious history last season.
It was very strange. And I do think that a lot of where I want to see improvement are things that would keep them out of that category, like create more turnovers. Don't turn it over as much. Their turnover margin was -16, and that lent itself to short fields. Then there was red zone defense, which was not good. That lent itself to not giving up many yards, but giving up touchdowns, which is more points than giving up a field goal. And then penalties. They were in the bottom 5 of that. Like, if they can improve in those areas on the margins, that should lead to better numbers.
One texter says, the Titans will win 7 games, and Brian Callahan will keep his job and be the coach for next year. Although I do predict that some of his coaches will end up getting fired. If the Titans win 7 games, I don't think any coaches are getting fired.
I can't see anybody unless there's a coach on the staff that just isn't doing his job. But if you win 7 games with a new quarterback after winning 2 games last season, yeah, you should keep your job, shouldn't you?
Here's a good one from our friend Josh in Nevada. He is 100% certain that the Titans will be better than last year. At least 8 wins. And Levis will be traded before next season starts and play better than he did here because he will have a huge chip on his new shoulder.
Okay.
I like that. I mean, I could see it happening. He said 8 games.
He said at least 8 wins.
Okay, that one's kind of, you need a lot of things to go right in order for that one to happen. But I can see a situation where Will Levis is traded somehow, some way, depending on how his rehab is going.
Quickly, let's go to Scott on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Scott, thank you for calling. State your case.
I've got little hope for them this year. I think their running game is going to be terrible. I think that's going to put extra pressure on the quarterback. Their defense is going to be mediocre at best. I predict they will be drafting within the top 3 again.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. We did get a lot of text about the Titans will draft number 1 again. One texter specifically mentioned number 2 overall. So let's round it out quickly. The Titans will be picking in the top 3 again next season.
It's funny you mentioned that because I wrote that down today. I was listening to the MMQB, Albert Breer, who just came through Nashville. They set the bar, and Connor Orr, his partner in the MMQB podcast, they've set the bar for the Titans at about 4-13, and they were debating where in the top 3 that would put them. And they have singled out Cleveland, the Titans, and the Saints as the 3 teams that they
I
think
can tell
are
you
the
firsthand,
bottom.
the Saints are going to be dog water, to use a term that Joe Rexrod used to use. The Saints will be cheeks, to use another term that Joe Rexrod.
Dog water bad?
Dog water is not good.
I mean, it's good for dogs,
but not good for humans.
Humans ain't supposed to drink it. I mean, I bet you if you had to drink it, you would.
That's an interesting question, though, Willie. I am curious about that.
Dog water. No.
The bottom 3?
Yes. I am interested in that. Willie, did anybody come close to touching on yours?
Not really. I was a little surprised.
Let's do that next.
Okay.
Let's do that next. We do have a couple of others that we need to get to, so we will do that next. If you want to get in on State Your Case, we've got one more segment. Call us, text us, 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Hey, Derek Mason here. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a resolution to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. But I got some news here and some good news because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
D. Mace Vin Ginandonic 1025 The Game. Tomorrow, we preview the Titans' next preseason game against the Atlanta Falcons, which starts tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central. So right after our show, get your fill of us, then go right to the TV. Watch Titans and Falcons in the preseason from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Chad Withrow will join us at 4:20, and Ask D-Mace starts at 5 o'clock. So we've been playing the game State Your Case. Willie, you said you had one. You were saving until a texter or caller brought it up. Apparently nobody did. So let's hear yours. State your case, Willie Donick.
This is one that it's going to be hard to measure exactly because of the nature of the positions. But I'm going to say, and I'm going to steal a term from Albert Breer and Connor Orr on the MMQB, this is essential for Cam Ward, but I think they're there. The Titans, I am certain, will have a professional offensive line.
And how would you define?
That's the key. And
how would you define
I
that?
would say in the top half of the league, and more from like 10 to 15 range.
And are we talking about that in terms of sacks allowed, or is there another number that you would use to quantify that?
FTN Fantasy has their metrics that I don't think we can just look at that one stat. I think you have to look at how the running game is coming along as well.
Pass blocking. And,
I would hope that they cut down on the number of sacks they gave up just by not having Levis in there.
Yes.
But this is going to be the thing for Ward is, can he get rid of the ball? But also, I think there's an eye test, right? At the end of a game, you kind of can say, yeah, the offensive line did a pretty good job, or the offensive line was terrible. So I think it's a combination of the eye test and whatever metrics we can find, the Pro Football Focus grades on the guys individually. FTN Fantasy has numbers, but I think Dan Moore doesn't have to be spectacular. If he's just solid, if he is a top 15 left tackle, that's an upgrade. That's an upgrade. If J.C. Latham slides over and is league average, that's a major upgrade based on last year. And then you've got Zeitler, Cushenberry, who should be steady vets that should raise the bar. And then you have Skoronski, who I keep hearing, Trevor Maddich really, he set the bar pretty high. I think he's really coming in, and he's still a young player. Like that collectively should give them professional offensive line play in an area that has been disastrous the last couple of years. I'm certain.
You're certain?
Yeah.
They're going to have a.
It doesn't mean they're going to win that many games,
line.
but I think it's going to give Cam Ward a chance to survive.
We're not going to be talking about how poorly the offensive line has played the same way we have been for previous years.
Oh, absolutely. I pray to God.
That's one way to look at it.
I agree with you on that, Willie, that I think this offensive line is going to be something that we got used to in the past, but sort of fell off the last 3-4 seasons, really 3 seasons. Well, it's 3.5. Let's just say that. I think they do get back to that. I think they will be one of the most improved offensive line in the National Football League. But then I would say this too, the defensive line. I think they will be a much better run stopping unit. This will be a top 7 run stopping unit.
Okay. I personally, going back to Willie's point on the offensive line, I am bullish on Peter Skoronski this season.
I like Peter. He looks like a different person.
I really liked what I heard from Trevor Maddich earlier this week, and Trevor knows a thing or two about playing on the offensive line. Willie, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Pro Football Focus said that Skoronski is going to be the most improved player at the guard position in the NFL. He was outstanding by their metrics down the stretch of the season. So will Peter Skoronski ever live up to being the 11th overall pick? I don't think so. Probably not. But I am bullish on him this season. I think he is going to have a really good season.
Especially if Dan Moore gives them what they hope they would give. They know they overpaid Dan Moore. If we get into this conversation of, well, the guy makes XYZ dollars, that's really not why they did that. They knew they had to. They put a priority on just give me somebody that's okay, and that will allow me to move J.C. Latham to the right, and collectively, I'm going to upgrade both positions. I think that's the idea. And so I think that allows Skoronski to flourish on paper, right? This is all theoretical. And I do think I believe in the pedigree of Bill Callahan now having a lot of these guys for 2 years and not just the 1 year. So I think all of these things will contribute to a professional offensive line.
And what Trevor said the other day, it really hit home. You know, you look at Peter Skoronski and look at his first 2 seasons. He had an inept left tackle, and the center, like he said, first year center was 210 pounds. And then the second year, he's playing next to a rookie and a center that gets hurt. He gets hurt, and he's in his first year in this offense. So then he gets hurt, and they have to bring in a backup. So Skoronski hasn't had stability to his left or his right in the last 2 years. Now, this year, they're hoping that bringing in Moore, who's an established veteran, Cushenberry coming back, and even if Cushenberry can't come back at the start of the season,
you like Corey
Levin has been doing the job well. And it seems like they're building this link. They're tightening the link as they go across the board. When Zeitler comes back, that's a guy that we know what we are going to get out of him. And then J.C. Latham. So right now, this chain is becoming tighter. And I think the tightest link or the strongest link right now is Peter Skoronski. He's the strongest link on the offensive line as we speak right now, because Zeitler hadn't practiced, or he hadn't played in the game yet, the preseason, but he hadn't practiced much. Yeah. Cushenberry's been out. JC's now he's back to his original position, but now he's learning that position, in this offense. And then Moore, he's new to this offense, so he's learning it from that standpoint. So to me, Peter has shown at this point he's the strongest link on that offensive line right now. And I'm excited about that. I really am.
Let's go to Ben in Murfreesboro on our text line. I'm surprised we took so long to get one of these. From Ben. Mike Vrabel and the Patriots will embarrass the Titans with a win of at least 17 points in Nashville. That is week 7. So that would be Sunday, October 19th. Patriots at Titans on CBS. Ben in Murfreesboro. Mike Vrabel and the Patriots will embarrass the Titans with a win of at least 17 points.
I will take the Titans plus 16.5 right now with Ben.
Okay.
Plus 16.5 at home? Come on.
17 points.
I think there's a lot of intrigue on what Vrabel will look like going back to New England. Deep down, that's the guy they wanted. They've got Josh McDaniels, who's been a very, very successful offense coordinator. They think they've got a quarterback that's got something in May. And, one of the discussions I've been recently looking at with the AFC East is the AFC East has a little bit of parity. There's some, they got the Jets in there that they look very troubled.
The Dolphins
are kind of, they're that 9-10 win kind of team. They're not a juggernaut. So you have the Bills, but the Patriots could do okay within their division. And then they've got the last place schedule. So I think they're a team that could make a modest jump if Vrabel does his thing.
So yesterday we discussed the fact that we expected the internet to break when Taylor Swift, her appearance on the New Heights podcast with Travis and Jason Kelsey went live. The internet is okay, although the stream did crash at some point, if I'm not mistaken. Here are some numbers on that podcast from The Hollywood Reporter.
And you compiled these before the show started. I'm sure that the numbers have only grown.
This was from earlier today from The Hollywood Reporter. Wednesday's episode has already racked up more than 10 million views on YouTube in less than 20 hours. The episode is already the most popular episode of the podcast ever, surpassing the previous number 1, which had Jason's spouse and podcaster Kylie Kelsey as the guest. And this doesn't count all the other ways a fan could consume the podcast, A representative for Spotify said the episode generated a 3,000% increase in new listeners for New Heights, and the number of female listeners jumped 618%.
That is New Heights.
Wow.
Those are New Heights.
Wow. What is it? I mean, what was the first hour? It was what, 900 and something?
At one point, Jason Kelsey tweeted, "Holy F, there are 975,000 people watching this right now," or something like that.
It was going to be, he knew the viewership was going to be through the roof.
But guess what? Last night, my wife works, when she works late hours. So she got home a little bit before 9 o'clock last night. We say hello. We talk about her days. I'm going to go take a shower. Within minutes, I hear Taylor Swift's voice from the bathroom.
Among the Kelseys.
She was listening to the podcast while taking a shower.
Unprompted.
Did you just sit back the door and listen?
Say, are you going to listen?
No.
She just did it.
She just did.
So you sat back. Did you go in the bathroom and listen?
I listened to a little bit of it, yes.
Okay.
She was,
was it compelling? Was it a good conversation?
The part that I heard wasn't about sports. It was about her getting all of her original recordings back, which was a big deal. She did talk a lot about becoming a football fan, and I think she told a story of how excited she was when the Kansas City Chiefs drafted Xavier Worthy. Like, that's how big of a football fan she became. Like, she actually cared about the Chiefs drafting the receiver out of Texas. So I haven't consumed the whole episode. I just heard what my wife listened to. But I have firsthand knowledge that female listenership is through the roof.
Hey, the numbers don't lie. A lot of people were listening.
Well, what do we have to do to get our female listenership to jump 618%?
I don't know.
Get Taylor Swift.
Go to the dance festival?
Yeah, and to go to the dance festival. Yeah.
Any suggestions, Willie?
I don't know. What can we do to 975,000 female viewers?
Let me just the number of female listeners jumped for the podcast by 618%.
Oh, so how can we get
our female listenership up by at least 618%?
Women, please turn on the radio and listen to us. That's all we got.
Somebody, maybe
That's all
we
got.
need some suggestions
Yeah,
from the female listeners.
Yeah.
What should we?
All right, female listeners.
How should we give y'all the sports? How should we give you the sports? So then you can take it and regurgitate it to your friends.
Unfortunately, none of us.
We want you on our team.
Yeah, because we want you on our team.
Travis Kelce and
we're like a tornado. No, we're like a black hole. We just suck you in. You never leave. We don't know where they're going. We just suck them in.
I'm not sure I like that imagery.
The listeners, we just suck them in.
They're
with us. They're with us forever, man.
Okay.
See, that's where I was going.
Ladies, let us know.
Y'all with us forever. Forever.
Oh boy. Yikes.
We love y'all. We just want y'all to stay with us. That's all.
No matter who you are.
Exactly.
However you represent yourself. We love you.
And however you listen to us.
We appreciate your listenership. We appreciate your participation on State Your Case. Y'all did an outstanding job. We will be back tomorrow at 3:00. Titans at Falcons tomorrow at 6. So you can listen to us right up to kickoff.
Oh, yeah.
We will preview that game. Chad Withrow will join us at 4:20. Ask D-Mace at 5:00. So for all of us here at 102.5 The Game, let me just leave you with this one piece of advice before we come back tomorrow at 3:00. Please be careful with autocorrect, especially if you are texting about Michael Penix.
Yes. Especially if you work for a TV station.
And especially if you are working for a Georgia-based television station. Just be careful.
And let's always be aware of where the S and where the X are located.
They are touching each other on the keyboard. I can confirm that right now. But we will be back tomorrow at 3:00. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your night. See you tomorrow.
Be loved. Love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Thursday. I love you. We love you. Peace.